You know those moments when the mystery itself becomes the story? Today we're diving into Banksy Unmasking saga, but we're doing it with fresh eyes, sharp takes, and a splash of real-world skepticism. If you've ever wondered what happens when a global icon trades aura for accountability, this video is for you. Personally, I think the real drama isn't just the name behind the stencil, it's what the mask represents in a world obsessed with secrecy and spectacle. Let's set the stage quickly. Banksy is a weaponized mystery, anonymous, provocative, wildly influential. His painted city walls into a conversation about power, poverty, and protest. Then, a bombshell, Reuters investigates and suggests the Banksy we've trusted for years might be Robin Gunningham, a Bristol-born figure who also goes by David Jones to dodge detection. What makes this so gripping isn't a celeb unmasking, it's the collision of myth and method. If a name change is enough to vanish in plain sight, what does that say about fame, surveillance, and the commodification of street art? Idea 1: The strategy of anonymity as a modern art form. Commentary: What I find fascinating is how anonymity isn't just a shield but a creative tool. Banksy weaponizes obscurity to keep the message first and the artist secondary. It's almost a performance art in itself. The idea that the art stands apart from the persona turns viewers into collectors of questions rather than collectors of clues. From my perspective, the anonymity creates a living narrative where the art outlives the artist's face and even their name. Interpretation: If you remove the public identity, you put the focus on the work's impact, its ability to spark debate, and its reach across borders. This isn't just about hiding, it's a method to preserve the integrity of critique, political, social, and moral, without becoming a celebrity spokesperson for every cause he touches. Speculation: Could the evolving identity be a way to scale influence without shrinking the artist's integrity into a brand? The more anonymous you stay, the more people project expectations onto the work itself, which can be a powerful shield against co-optation by galleries or sponsors. Broader view: This ties into a larger trend where audiences demand accountability from art but resist the auteur's ego. Anonymity becomes a form of critique against the star-maker machinery of the art world. Idea 2: The name switch as a social camouflage tactic. Commentary: The shift to David Jones, one of the most common British names, reads like a practical invisibility cloak. It's almost funny in its blunt practicality. If you choose the most ordinary label, you blend into the ordinary. What makes this compelling is that the tactic isn't about shrinking notoriety, it's about neutralizing the obvious vectors that journalists and fans use to identify someone. Interpretation: This isn't just clever, it acknowledges a media ecosystem obsessed with origin stories. By picking a hypercommon name, Banksy redeploys the mystery into a problem for the audience. We're chasing a ghost that's designed to be indistinct. Speculation: If other elusive artists adopt similar tactics, will Banksy-level anonymity become a new norm in street art, not as a gimmick but as a serious operational choice to protect critique from personal backlash? Broader view: It mirrors broader societal dynamics where identity verification battles shape how we trust information, art, and authority. The more anonymous the creator, the more the message must carry their weight. Idea 3: The evidence mosaic and contested theories. Commentary: Reuters builds a mosaic, travel records, interactions, even an old arrest report, all stitched to suggest a plausible identity. Yet the piece also rejects a long-running theory tying Banksy to musician Robert Del Nager. The tension here is delicious: truth as mosaic versus truth as singular narrative. Interpretation: The investigative approach shows how truth in contemporary culture is often a collage of fragments. It's not about declaring a single smoking gun but about weighing multiple data points against a plausible framework and then testing that against counter-narratives. Speculation: If this mosaic holds, it may push future journals to adopt more forensic, multi-source methods in identifying elusive public figures. It could also intensify debates about privacy, artistry, and the ethics of naming someone who deliberately courts ambiguity. Broader view: The Banksy case becomes a case study in how modern fame can coexist with deliberate anonymity, and how institutions like Reuters position themselves in the middle of cultural legend and legal proof. Idea 4: The public interest versus personal safety. Commentary: Banks's lawyer emphasizes that anonymity protects expression in the face of threats. This is not just a legal defense, it's a social contract. If the person who critiques power can be attacked, the critique loses its edge. I think this tension is what makes the Banksy phenomenon persist. Interpretation: the public's fascination with identity is not just curiosity, it's a demand for legitimacy. Yet when the person behind the mask claims safety comes first, it reframes the debate from "who is Banksy" to "should a voice that challenges power be allowed to speak freely without becoming a target?" Speculation: the more people demand transparency, the more pushback we'll see from artists who argue that anonymity is essential to impact. Could this push us toward more decentralized, platform-based art where creators are protected by policy and design rather than by a single enigmatic figure? Broader view, this touches a bigger trend: the friction between free expression and real-world consequences in a digital age where every statement can be weaponized. Banks's stance foregrounds the value of protection for dissent. Deeper insight. Commentary: when you hold up Banks's story against the broader art economy, a couple of patterns emerge. The art world treats mystery as a currency. Mystery fuels demand, media coverage, and eventual value. The more we chase their true identity, the more the aura grows, and the more the market capitalizes on it. What this really suggests is that anonymity is not just a shield, it's a strategic asset in a culture obsessed with origin stories and authenticity. Interpretation: the endgame isn't simply to reveal a name. It's to examine how authenticity is manufactured and monetized. Banks's brand thrives on the tension between message and mask, and the revelation, if ever fully accepted, might shift that dynamic rather than collapse it. What people misunderstand: some assume unmasking removes the mystique and thus kills the phenomenon. I'd argue it might refocus the conversation on the ideas and the impact of the work, not just the person behind it. If you take a step back and think about it, anonymity as a protective mechanism can be a political weapon, allowing critique of power without risking the creator's life. In a world of relentless scrutiny, that protective layer may be more valuable than any single name. Closing thought. What this really reveals is a culture that prizes both truth and spectacle in equal measure. The Banksy story isn't just about a name, it's about how art negotiates safety, notoriety, and the cost of speaking truth to power. So here's a question to you: if the face behind the art remains concealed or re-emerges with a new identity, which version of Banksy matters more, the message that sparked revolutions in cities or the mystery that keeps people debating it for years? Drop your take in the comments, and tell me which aspect of this saga you'll be watching most closely in the weeks to come.